The great hall of the Galactic Council was beautiful and cold. Light from 1,000 stars came through the crystal ceiling. Representatives from 200 species sat in their seats, arranged in a massive circle. At the center stood a single human man. Admiral Kang Tae-ho kept his back straight. He was 60 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. But he did not show fear. Around him, alien faces watched with expressions of disgust, pity, and cruel amusement. "The vote is complete," announced High Counselor Dren of the Valori Empire. His skin was pale blue, and his 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction. By a count of 173 to 27, humanity is hereby banished from all council space. A murmur ran through the hall. Some representatives nodded in approval. Others looked away in shame. Tae-ho did not move. He had expected this outcome. For 300 years, humans had tried to prove themselves worthy of joining the galactic community. They had followed every rule. They had accepted every insult. They had bent their knees again and again, and still, it was not enough. "You have 30 standard days to remove all human presence from council territory." Dren continued. His voice was smooth like poison. "Any human found after this period will be arrested and executed. Your ships will be seized. Your colonies will be given to more deserving species." "May I speak?" Tae-ho asked. His voice was calm. Dren tilted his head. "You may. Though I cannot imagine what words could change anything now." Tae-ho looked around the hall slowly. He met the eyes of those who had voted against humanity. He remembered each face. "I only wish to ask one question," he said. "What was our crime?" Dren laughed. "Your crime? You are humans. That is crime enough. We have kept every treaty," Tae-ho said. "We have paid every tax. We have never started a war. We have helped in disasters. We have shared our medicine and technology freely. What did we do wrong?" "You exist," said Representative Morath of the Kelthi Collective. His insect-like body clicked with annoyance. "You breed too fast. You adapt too quickly. You are too ambitious. Left unchecked, you would spread across the galaxy like a disease." "We have limited our population as ordered," Tae-ho replied. "And still you grow," Morath snapped. "Still you build. Still you dream. It is offensive." Another representative, Lady Vesh of the Centauri, raised her elegant hand. Her silver skin reflected the starlight. "Admiral, please understand. This is not personal hatred. It is simply practical. Humanity is too dangerous to keep close. The dead expanse is vast. You can build your little civilization there, far from civilized space." "The dead expanse," Tae-ho repeated. "No species has survived there for more than a generation. The stars are dying. The planets are barren. You send us there to die slowly instead of quickly." "We send you there to have a chance," Dren said with false kindness. "Be grateful we do not simply exterminate you." Many here wanted exactly that. Tae-ho was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different. It was harder, colder. "I want to make sure I understand," he said. "Humanity came to you in peace. We asked only for a small place in the galaxy. We worked harder than any other species to earn our membership. And your answer is exile to a graveyard of stars." "Correct," Dren said. "Now, unless you have more pointless words, this session is concluded." "Just one more thing," Tae-ho said. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small metal badge. It was his council identification, given to him when humanity first received observer status. He had worn it proudly for 40 years. He dropped it on the floor. The sound echoed in the silent hall. "My people came to you with open hands," Tae-ho said. "We came with hope and trust. You taught us that kindness is weakness. You taught us that fairness is a lie. You taught us that the galaxy respects only power." He turned and began walking toward the exit. His boots clicked against the marble floor. "We will remember this lesson," he said without looking back. "And one day, you will too." The doors closed behind him. In the hall, there was uncomfortable silence. Then Dren laughed and waved his hand. Dramatic creatures, humans, he said. In 100 years, they will be forgotten. Now, let us move to the next matter on our agenda. Outside the hall, Teho found his aide waiting. Captain Yuna was a young woman with sharp eyes and dark hair tied back in a simple style. She had been listening through a communication device. It went as expected, Teho said. Yes, Admiral. Yuna fell into step beside him as they walked toward the docking bay. The fleet is ready. All 12 colony ships and 40 escort vessels. 15 million people waiting for your order. 15 million. That was all that remained of humanity's presence in Council space. The rest had already fled to the edges of known territory, hoping to escape the coming storm. Send the message, Teho said. We leave immediately. No delays, no goodbyes. Destination? Yuna asked, though she already knew the answer. The dead expanse. Teho stopped at a window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was a region of space that the galaxy had abandoned. Dying stars and empty worlds, a perfect grave for a troublesome species. Sir, Yuna said quietly. Do you really believe we can survive out there? Teho was silent for a moment. Then he turned to face her. For the first time, she saw something in his eyes that she had never seen before. It was not despair. It was not acceptance. It was fire. Captain, he said. The Council thinks they are sending us to die. They think the dead expanse will be our tomb. But they have made a terrible mistake. What mistake, sir? They have pushed us into a corner, Teho said. They have taken everything from us. Our homes, our dignity, our place among the stars. They think this will break us. He turned back to the window. His reflection stared back at him. Old, but unbroken. But humans do not break easily, he continued. When we are comfortable, we become lazy. When we are safe, we grow weak. But when we are desperate, when our backs are against the wall, that is when we become dangerous. He placed his hand against the cold glass. The dead expanse will not be our grave, he said. It will be our forge. And from its fires, we will build something that will make this council tremble. Yuna felt a shiver run down her spine. She had served under Teho for 10 years. She had seen him in battle and in peace. But she had never heard him speak like this. What will we build, sir? She asked. Teho smiled. It was not a kind smile. An empire, he said. A human empire. And when it is complete, we will return to this place. Not as beggars asking for scraps. Not as guests hoping for approval. We will return as equals. Or as conquerors. The choice will be theirs. He turned away from the window and walked toward his ship. Come, Captain, he said. We have work to do. The exodus began that night. 12 colony ships carrying the last of humanity's people. 40 warships to guard them. They sailed into the darkness. Into the dead expanse. Into the region of space that every other species had abandoned. Behind them, the Galactic Council celebrated. The human problem was solved. The threat was contained. They could return to their comfortable lives without worry. They did not know that they had just planted the seed of their own downfall. And in the darkness between dying stars, Admiral Kang Teho began to plan. The dead expanse was worse than anyone had imagined. Captain Yuna stood on the bridge of the colony ship Hope's Light and stared at the view screen. Before her stretched a field of stars that seemed wrong somehow. They were dim and red, like dying embers in a forgotten fireplace. Some flickered weakly, others barely glowed at all. Radiation levels are higher than expected, reported Lieutenant Park Sok from his engineering station. He was a thin man with clever hands and worried eyes. The dying stars are unstable. We are going to need better shielding for the ships. Can we build it? Yuna asked. Maybe. If we can find the right materials. Sok pulled up a map of nearby systems. There is a planet 3 days from here. Dead world. But the scans show metal deposits in the crust. We might be able to mine what we need. What about food? Asked Commander Baek Ji-1, the head of civilian operations. She was an older woman with kind eyes and a practical mind. The hydroponic farms can feed us for 6 months. After that, we need to find or grow more. Yuna nodded slowly. 6 months. That was all the time they had to build something from nothing. In a region of space that had killed every species that tried to live there. "Get me Admiral Tejo," she said. The communication screen flickered, and Tejo's face appeared. He looked tired. The journey from Council space had taken 3 weeks, and he had not slept much during that time. "Report, Captain," he said. Yuna told him everything. The radiation, the dying stars, the limited food supply, the need for materials. When she finished, Tejo was quiet for a long moment. "What is our current population?" he asked. 15,200,000 across all ships, Yuna said. "We lost 300 during the journey. Medical issues, mostly. Some could not handle the stress. 300 people dead before they even arrived." Tejo closed his eyes briefly. "The dead expanse is trying to kill us," he said finally. "It will continue to try. This is not a place that welcomes life. Every moment we survive here is a victory against the universe itself." "Sir." Some of the civilian leaders are asking questions. G1 spoke up. "They want to know if we have a plan. People are scared." "Man. After. They should be," Tejo said. "Fear is appropriate. But fear can be useful if we control it. Tell the people this. We did not come here to die. We came here to be reborn. The Council thought this place would destroy us. We will prove them wrong." "How?" Yuna asked. It was not a challenge. It was a genuine question. "By doing what humans have always done," Tejo said. "We adapt. We build. We refuse to quit." "Lieutenant Sok, I want a full survey of every system within range. Find me planets we can use. Find me resources we can harvest. Find me anything that can help us survive." "Yes, Admiral," Siok replied. "Commander Bake, organize the civilians. We need farmers, engineers, doctors, teachers. Everyone works. Everyone contributes. There are no passengers on this journey. Only crew." "Understood," G1 said. "Captain Yuna, you will lead the exploration teams. Take the fastest ships. Map this expanse. Learn its secrets. The more we know about our prison, the better we can escape it." "Escape it?" Yuna asked. "You mean leave the dead expanse?" Tejo shook his head. "No. I mean escape the prison they think they have put us in. This is not a cage. This is an opportunity. Out here, there are no Council rules. No Council taxes. No Council spies watching our every move. For the first time in 300 years, humanity is free." He leaned forward, and his eyes burned with intensity. "We will build our civilization here," he said. "Not despite the difficulties, but because of them. Every challenge will make us stronger. Every problem we solve will teach us something new. In 50 years, this dead region will be alive with human cities. In 100 years, it will be the heart of an empire." After the call ended, Yuna stood quietly for a moment. Then she turned to her crew. "You heard the Admiral," she said. "Let us get to work." The next months were brutal. Exploration teams found a planet they named First Haven. It was cold and rocky with thin air and constant storms. But it had water ice buried beneath its surface and metal ore in its mountains. It was not paradise. It was barely livable. But it was something. Engineers worked day and night to build shelters. They carved homes into mountainsides to protect against radiation. They built sealed domes where plants could grow. They dug wells to reach underground water. People died. The harsh conditions claimed lives every week. Accidents in the mines. Equipment failures. Diseases that the medical team struggled to treat with limited supplies. Each death was felt deeply. With only 15 million people, every loss mattered. But they kept working. Park Sok made a breakthrough in the 3rd month. He discovered that the dying stars, while dangerous, produced unusual energy patterns. Most species had seen this radiation as purely harmful, but Seok found a way to harvest it. "We can build collectors," he explained to the Leadership Council. "Special satellites that absorb the radiation and convert it to usable power. One collector near a dying star could power an entire city." "How many can we build?" Taeho asked. "With our current resources, maybe 10. But if we find more materials, we could build hundreds. The dead expanse could become the most energy-rich region in the galaxy." It was a turning point. Suddenly, the very thing that made this region deadly became its greatest asset. The dying stars were not just obstacles, they were fuel. By the end of the first year, First Haven had a permanent population of 2 million. The colony ships had been dismantled, and their materials used to build infrastructure. Farms produced food, factories produced goods, schools taught children, hospitals treated the sick. It was not comfortable. It was not easy, but it was alive. In the second year, exploration teams found more worlds. Some were too hostile to settle, others showed promise: a moon with rich soil, a planet with underground rivers, an asteroid field full of rare metals. Each discovery brought new hope and new challenges. Commander Baek Ji-won became the unofficial mother of the colony. She organized community meals so people would not eat alone. She started festivals to celebrate small victories. She sat with grieving families when workers died in accidents. "We cannot just survive," she told Yuna one evening. "We have to live. If people lose hope, all the food and shelter in the universe will not save us." Yuna understood. The human spirit needed feeding just as much as the human body. In the third year, something unexpected happened. A small ship appeared at the edge of First Haven's sensor range. It was not human. It was alien. From a species called the Roshi. They were refugees, fleeing persecution in Council space. The Valori had conquered their homeworld, and the survivors had nowhere to go. "They are asking for shelter," Yuna reported to Taeho. 300 individuals, mostly families with children. Taeho considered the request. Resources were still limited. Adding 300 mouths to feed would strain their supplies. "What do you think, Captain?" he asked. Yuna thought about the council chamber. She remembered how it felt to be unwanted, to be told that you did not deserve a place among the stars. "We should help them," she said. "We know what it feels like to be cast out. If we turn them away, we become no better than the council." Taeho nodded slowly. "I agree. Bring them in. Give them food and shelter. Let them know they are welcome here." The Roshi were the first, but they were not the last. Word spread through hidden channels. In the dead expanse, there was a human colony that accepted refugees. Species oppressed by the council, races too weak to fight back, individuals who had nowhere else to go. They came one ship at a time, seeking sanctuary, and humanity welcomed them all. "This is dangerous," warned General Kang Hyun, head of military operations. He was Taeho's nephew, young but talented. "If the council learns we are sheltering their enemies, they will attack us." "Let them come," Taeho said. "By the time they realize what is happening here, it will be too late. We are not just building a colony, General. We are building a family. A family of outcasts and refugees. A family united by the simple truth that the galaxy abandoned us all." He looked out the window at the growing city below. Humans and Roshi worked side by side, building homes and roads. "The council rules through fear and division," Taeho continued. "We will rule through unity and hope. That is how we will win." In the darkness of the dead expanse, a new civilization was taking shape. It was small and fragile and far from perfect, but it was growing, and it would not stop. 20 years had passed since the exile. Director Han Mi-ra stood at the window of the newly completed central tower on First Haven. Below her, a city of 5 million people spread across the valley. Towers of metal and glass rose toward the dark sky. Streets buzzed with activity. Ships flew overhead, carrying goods and passengers between districts. It was nothing like the desperate camp of survivors that had landed here 2 decades ago. Mira was 45 years old now. She had been a young administrator when the exile began, responsible for organizing food distribution. Now she was the director of civilian affairs, one of the most powerful positions in the growing nation that called itself the Human Dominion. Her assistant, a young Roshi named Tevan, approached with a tablet. His gray skin and large eyes marked him as one of the first refugee children born in the Dominion. He had never known any home but First Haven. "The population reports are ready, Director," he said. Mira took the tablet and reviewed the numbers. What she saw made her smile. Total population, 43 million. 32 million humans. 11 million aliens from 17 different species. All living together under one government. All working toward one future. "How many new arrivals this month?" she asked. 8,000, Tevan replied. "Mostly Kelvin refugees from the border conflicts. The Valori burned their colony last week." Mira's smile faded. The Valori Empire had grown more aggressive in recent years. They were expanding their territory, crushing anyone who stood in their way. The council did nothing to stop them. Some said the council was afraid. Others said the council had made secret deals with the Valori. Either way, more refugees fled to the dead expanse every month, and the Dominion welcomed them all. "Process them through the standard protocols," Mira said. "Medical checks, housing assignments, job placement. Make sure the children are enrolled in schools." "Already done," Tevan said. "Director, there is another matter. The Council of Founders wants to meet with you. They say it is urgent." Mira nodded. The Council of Founders was the governing body of the Dominion. It included Admiral Teho, Captain Yuna, and other leaders who had survived the original Exodus. They rarely called urgent meetings. Something important must have happened. The meeting room was simple but functional. A round table surrounded by chairs. No fancy decorations or displays of power. The Dominion did not believe in such things. Admiral Teho sat at the head of the table. He was 80 years old now. His hair completely white and his face lined with age. But his eyes were still sharp, and his mind was still brilliant. Beside him sat General Kang Hyun, now the commander of all Dominion military forces. Captain Yuna, who had been promoted to Fleet Admiral, sat across from him. Park Sok, the engineer who had unlocked the power of dying stars, was there too, and there was a new face. A Roshi elder named Grandmother Shen. She represented the non-human citizens of the Dominion on the council. "Thank you for coming, Director Han," Teho said. "Please, sit." Mira took her seat. "What has happened?" Teho gestured to Fleet Admiral Yuna. "Admiral, please explain." Yuna activated a holographic display. A star map appeared, showing the boundaries of council space and the dead expanse. "Our intelligence network has intercepted communications from the Valori Empire," Yuna said. "They are planning a major offensive against the Threll Confederation." The Threll were a peaceful species known for their artists and philosophers. They had no military to speak of. If the Valori attacked, they would be destroyed. "This is terrible news," Mira said. "But why does it concern us? The Threll are far from our territory." "Because of what comes next," Yuna said. She adjusted the display, highlighting a route through space. After conquering the Threll, the Valori plan to push into the outer regions. Their ultimate goal is to reach the dead expanse. Silence fell over the room. "They are coming for us," General Hyun said grimly. "Not immediately. It will take them years to digest their conquests. But eventually, they will arrive at our borders, and they will try to finish what the council started." "How long do we have?" Mira asked. "Our estimates say 15 to 20 years, Yuna replied. "Maybe less, if they move faster than expected." Mira looked around the table. 20 years ago, 15 million refugees had arrived in this wasteland, with nothing but hope. Now they were 43 million strong, with cities and farms and factories. But was it enough to fight the Valori Empire? "What are our options?" she asked. "We have 3 choices," Teho said. "First, we can do nothing. Wait for the Valori to come and hope we can defend ourselves when they arrive. Second, we can flee, abandon everything we have built, and run deeper into unknown space. Third, we can prepare. Prepare how? Mira asked. General Hyun spoke up. We expand our military. Build more ships. Train more soldiers. Develop better weapons. We turn the Dominion into a force that even the Valori will fear. That will cost enormous resources, Mira said. It could slow our development. Our people came here for peace, not war. And they will have neither peace nor life if the Valori conquer us, Hyun replied. Grandmother Shen raised her thin hand. Her voice was soft but carried weight. I speak for the refugee communities. We fled our homes because we had no strength to fight. Many of us lost everything to the Valori. We do not want to run again. We want to stand. But can we win? Mira asked. Admiral Taeho was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. 20 years ago, we had nothing. 12 old ships and 15 million frightened people. The Council sent us here to die. Every expert, every computer, every prediction said we would be extinct within a generation. He looked around the table. We are still here. We built cities where nothing should grow. We harvested power from dying stars. We created a nation from refugees and outcasts. If anyone had told the Council this was possible, they would have laughed. He leaned forward. The question is not whether we can win. The question is whether we will try. And I say yes. I say we prepare. I say we build the greatest military force this galaxy has ever seen. Not to conquer, not to dominate, but to protect our home and our people. The vote was unanimous. In the months that followed, the Dominion transformed. Factories that once produced farming equipment began making weapons. Shipyards that built cargo vessels started constructing warships. Young men and women joined the military in record numbers, but they did not sacrifice their values. Schools still taught peace and cooperation. Hospitals still treated anyone who needed help. Refugees were still welcomed with open arms. We will be ready for war, Director Han told her staff. But we will not become warriors. We fight because we must, not because we want to. The moment we forget that difference, we become no better than the Valori. Park Seuk led the technology development. His team designed new ships powered by the radiation of dying stars. They created shields that could withstand attacks that would destroy any Council vessel. They invented weapons that the galaxy had never seen. The Council always underestimated human creativity, Sok told his engineers. They thought we were primitive because we were young. They never understood that being young meant we had no limitations. No assumptions about what was possible. We will show them what impossible looks like. General Hyun trained the military. He recruited from all species in the Dominion. Human soldiers fought alongside Roshi, Kelvin, and a dozen other races. They learned to work together, to trust each other, to become one force. We are not fighting for humanity, Hyun told his troops. We are fighting for the Dominion. For every species that calls this place home. For every child who wants a future free from fear. That is what makes us strong. We are not alone. Fleet Admiral Yuna expanded the Navy. When she began, the Dominion had 50 warships. After 5 years, they had 200. After 10 years, 500. After 15 years, over 1,000 vessels patrolled Dominion space, and still, they built more. Admiral Taeho watched it all happen. He was 95 years old now, too old to lead battles but not too old to advise. He met with every new generation of leaders, teaching them the lessons he had learned. Power is not the goal, he told them. Power is the tool. We build strength so that we can protect weakness. We grow mighty so that the small can be safe. The moment we forget this, we become the thing we hate. One day, Mira visited the old admiral in his quarters. He was sitting by the window, looking out at the city that had grown from nothing. We have done well, she said. We have survived, he replied. That is the first step. But the real test is coming. The Valori are closer every day. Soon they will notice us. And then we will see if we have truly learned anything. Are you worried? Tejo was quiet for a moment, then he smiled. "No," he said. "I have seen what our people can do. I have watched humans and aliens work together to build something beautiful. I have seen courage, and sacrifice, and love. Whatever happens, I know this. We will not go quietly. We will not surrender. And we will not be forgotten." He turned to face her. "The council thought they were sending us to our grave. Instead, they planted a seed. Now that seed has grown into a tree. And soon, that tree will bear fruit they never expected." Mira nodded. She understood. The Dominion was ready. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The trading post on Station Gamma was busy as always. Ships from dozens of species docked at the massive orbital platform. Merchants haggled over prices. Cargo moved through endless corridors. Information changed hands in quiet corners. And through it all, the spies of the Galactic Council watched and listened. Agent Vel Cora of the Valori Intelligence Service sat at a small table, pretending to drink from a cup of alien tea. His 4 eyes scanned the crowd, looking for anything unusual. He had been stationed here for 3 years. His mission was simple: monitor the borders of the dead expanse and report any activity from the human exiles. For most of his assignment, there had been nothing to report. Occasionally, a refugee ship would pass through, heading toward the expanse. Sometimes, a small human vessel would appear to trade for supplies. Nothing that suggested the exiles were anything more than a dying remnant. But lately, things had changed. "Another convoy," muttered his partner, Agent Threx, sitting down across from him. 6 ships this time. Heavy cargo haulers. Heading into the expanse. What were they carrying? Industrial equipment. Mining gear. Medical supplies. Threx lowered his voice. "And the traders said they paid in pure crystal. More wealth than this entire station sees in a month." Velcora frowned. Pure crystal was the most valuable currency in the galaxy. Where would human exiles get such wealth? "There are rumors," Threx continued. "Stories spreading among the refugee communities. They say the humans have built something in the dead expanse. Cities, factories, a whole civilization." "Impossible," Velcora said. "The expanse is a graveyard. No species can survive there. That is what we thought. But the refugees believe it. More of them head toward the expanse every day. And they are not coming back." Velcora considered this. If the rumors were true, it was a serious matter. High Counselor Dren himself had signed the exile order 35 years ago. If the humans had somehow survived and prospered, it would be an embarrassment to the entire council. More than that, it could be a threat. "I will send a report to the homeworld," Velcora decided. "Let the superiors decide what to do." His report traveled through secure channels to the Valori capital. It was read by intelligence officers, then passed to military commanders, then finally reached the desk of High Counselor Dren himself. Dren was old now, his blue skin faded and spotted with age, but he still controlled the Valori Empire with an iron grip. And he still remembered the human admiral who had dropped his badge on the council floor. "So the vermin survived," he murmured, reading the report. "Interesting." His aide, a young Valori named Kasek, stood nervously nearby. "What are your orders, High Counselor?" Dren considered his options. The Valori Empire was stronger than ever. They had conquered 12 species in the past 20 years. Their military was the most powerful in the galaxy. The council itself trembled when Dren spoke, but the dead expanse was far away, and there were closer priorities. The final conquest of the Threll Confederation was almost complete. After that, the outer regions would fall easily. Only then would the expanse be worth attention. "Send scouts," Dren ordered. "Probe their borders. Learn what they have built. But do not engage. Not yet. When I am ready to crush them, I want to know exactly what I am crushing." Over the next 2 years, Valori scout ships probed the edges of the dead expanse. Most returned with the same report. Dead stars, empty space. Nothing of interest. But a few did not return at all. We have lost another scout, Commander Threx reported. He had been promoted to head of Expanse operations. Third one this month. They enter the region and simply disappear. Dren frowned. Equipment failure? Possibly. But unlikely. Our ships are designed to survive far worse conditions. I believe they are being intercepted. By whom? A few thousand human refugees in broken ships? That is what I thought at first, Threx admitted. But our long-range sensors have detected something disturbing. He activated a holographic display. It showed the border of the dead expanse, highlighted by sensor data. There, Threx said, pointing. Energy signatures. Hundreds of them. Moving in organized patterns. These are not refugees. High Counselor. This is a fleet. Dren leaned forward, studying the display. How large? Our estimates suggest at least 500 vessels, possibly more, and the energy output is significant. Their ships are not weak. For the first time in many years, Dren felt a flicker of concern. 500 ships was not a threat to the Valori Empire. But it was far more than expected. Increase surveillance, he ordered. I want to know everything about these humans. What they have built, how many ships they have, what weapons they carry, everything. But information was hard to obtain. The humans had built an intelligence network of their own. Dominion spies had infiltrated refugee communities throughout Council space. They knew the Valori were watching, and they fed false information to throw off the enemy. In the Dominion itself, General Kang Hyun received regular reports about Valori activities. They are probing our borders more aggressively, he told the Council of Founders. They have noticed us. It will not be long before they decide to act. Fleet Admiral Yuna nodded. Our patrols have intercepted 4 scout ships this month. We captured their data cores. The Valori know we exist, but they underestimate our strength. They think we have 200 ships at most. Let them think that, Admiral Tejo said from his wheelchair. He was 97 years old now, frail in body but sharp in mind. Surprise is a weapon. Do not waste it. What about our allies? Asked Grandmother Shen. The refugee communities throughout Council space depend on us. If the Valori attack them to draw us out, we must be ready to respond. The evacuation plans are in place, Director Han Mira said. At the first sign of aggression, we can extract our people within days. Our transport ships are standing by. The Council discussed strategy late into the night. They knew war was coming. The only questions were when and where. Meanwhile, the Dominion continued to grow. The population had reached 60 million. The fleet had expanded to over 1,000 ships. The economy was thriving, fueled by energy harvested from dying stars, and they were not alone. In the outer regions of Council space, oppressed species watched the Dominion with hope. The Threll, facing extinction at Valori hands, secretly contacted human diplomats. The Kelvin resistance, fighting a desperate war against their occupiers, received weapons and supplies through hidden channels. We cannot save everyone, General Hyun warned. If we spread ourselves too thin, we will be vulnerable. But we cannot abandon them either, Director Han replied. These people trusted us. They believed in us. If we turn away now, we are no better than the Council that abandoned us. It was a difficult balance. The Dominion had to be strong enough to defend itself while still helping others. Resources were always stretched. Time was always short. Admiral Tejo watched from his quarters, too old to participate directly but still aware of everything. He saw the young leaders struggling with the same challenges he had faced decades ago. One evening, General Hyun visited him. Uncle, Hyun said, using the family title, I need your advice. The Threll have asked for direct military support. If we send ships, we reveal our true strength to the Valori. If we do not send ships, the Threll will be destroyed. Tejo was quiet for a long moment. When I was young, he said finally, I believed that survival was everything. I thought we had to protect ourselves first, no matter the cost. I was wrong. Hyun leaned forward. What changed your mind? The refugees who came to us in those early years, the Roshi, the Kelvin, all the others, they had nothing to offer us. Helping them cost us resources we desperately needed, but we helped them anyway, and they became our family, our strength. He looked at his nephew with tired but clear eyes. The Dominion is not strong because of our ships or our weapons. We are strong because we stand together. Because we protect each other. If we abandon the Thrall now, we betray everything we are. And if we betray our values, we have already lost. Hyun nodded slowly. So we help them. Even if it means revealing ourselves. Yes. But be smart about it. Do not throw away the element of surprise completely. Help them enough to survive. But keep our true power hidden. The Valori will learn what we can do soon enough. Let them learn it on our terms, not theirs. The Dominion sent 50 ships to assist the Thrall. It was enough to slow the Valori advance, to give the Thrall time to evacuate their most vulnerable populations. The battle was small by galactic standards, but it was the first time Dominion and Valori forces had clashed directly. The Valori were surprised by how hard the human ships fought. How well they coordinated. How their shields seemed stronger and their weapons more precise than expected. High Counselor Dren received the battle report with growing alarm. "This is not a refugee fleet," he said slowly. "This is a military power. Where did they get such technology? Such training?" No one had an answer. "Prepare the invasion fleet," Dren ordered. "We have waited long enough. It is time to finish what the Council started. We will enter the dead expanse and burn every human city to ash." The orders went out, ships gathered, armies mobilized. And in the dead expanse, the Dominion prepared to meet them. Admiral Tejo called one final meeting of the Council of Founders. He stood, with help, refusing to sit for this moment. "The enemy is coming," he said. "Everything we have built in 40 years will be tested. But I am not afraid. I have seen what our people can do. I have watched us survive the impossible, and I know we will survive this too." He looked around the room at the faces of humans and aliens who had become his family. "Remember why we fight. Not for revenge, not for glory. We fight for the child who deserves a future. For the refugee who deserves a home. For the simple idea that everyone deserves dignity and respect. That is what the Dominion stands for. That is what makes us strong." He sat back down, exhausted but determined. "Now go," he said. "Defend our home. Make me proud." The battle for survival was about to begin. The Valori invasion fleet was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. 3,000 warships, 2 million soldiers, enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. High Counselor Dren himself commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Divine Conquest. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Burn everything. Show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the Valori Empire." The fleet entered the dead expanse with confidence. Their sensors showed the dying stars and empty space that every report had described. At first, there was no sign of resistance. Then the human ships appeared. They came from behind asteroids and out of sensor shadows. They emerged from orbits around dying stars where their energy signatures had been hidden. They rose from hiding places that the Valori had never detected. Not 200 ships. Not 500. 2,000 warships of the human Dominion surrounded the Valori fleet. On the bridge of the Divine Conquest, Dren stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "Where did they come from? How did they build so many?" His officers had no answers. The human ships were already moving, forming into attack formations that covered every angle of approach. There was no retreat, no escape. "All ships, battle stations," Dren commanded. "We still outnumber them. Attack!" The two fleets collided in a storm of energy and fire. Valori weapons pounded human shields. Human weapons tore through Valori armor. Ships exploded on both sides. In the first hour, hundreds of vessels were destroyed, but the Valori quickly discovered a terrible truth. They were losing. The human ships were faster and more maneuverable. Their shields held longer. Their weapons hit harder. Technology that Park Seok and his team had developed over 40 years gave the Dominion an advantage that numbers could not overcome. And the humans did not fight alone. Roshi gunners manned weapons stations. Kelvin engineers kept engines running. Threll medics treated the wounded. The Dominion fleet was crewed by dozens of species, all fighting as one. They are coordinating perfectly, one Valori officer reported. Multiple species working together without confusion. I have never seen anything like it. Dren watched his fleet being torn apart. Ship after ship fell. Commanders screamed for help that could not come. The divine conquest itself shook under repeated impacts. Fall back, Dren finally ordered. All ships retreat. Get us out of here. But retreat was not easy. The human ships pursued relentlessly, picking off damaged vessels. Of the 3,000 ships that entered the dead expanse, fewer than 800 escaped. It was the worst defeat in Valori history. News of the battle spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The mighty Valori Empire had been humiliated. The human exiles had won, and more importantly, the oppressed species of the galaxy learned that the Valori could be beaten. Within months, rebellions erupted throughout the Empire. The Threll rose up against their occupiers. The Kelvin resistance launched coordinated attacks on Valori supply lines. Species that had lived in fear for generations suddenly found courage. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from 200 species gathered once again in the Great Hall. But this time, the mood was different. Fear and uncertainty filled the air. We must do something, demanded Representative Morath of the Kelthi Collective. The humans have become a threat to galactic stability. They must be stopped. With what? Asked Lady Vesh of the Centauri. The Valori sent 3,000 ships and lost most of them. Does anyone here have a larger fleet? No one answered. The humans have not attacked Council space, another representative pointed out. They have only defended their territory and helped other species resist Valori aggression. Perhaps they are not the threat we assumed. They are the biggest threat we have ever faced, shouted Dren from his seat. His power was weakened, but not broken. They are savages, barbarians. If we do not destroy them now, they will destroy us. The debate continued for hours. Accusations flew. Alliances shifted. The council that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was fracturing. Then a message arrived. We are receiving a transmission, announced the communications officer. From the dead expanse. They are requesting to speak with the council. Silence fell. Dren's 4 eyes narrowed with hatred. Let them speak, Lady Vesh said. We should hear what they have to say. The holographic display activated, and for the first time in 40 years, a human stood before the Galactic Council. But it was not Admiral Teho. He had died peacefully in his sleep 3 weeks after the battle. Having seen his life's work completed, it was a woman. Middle-aged. Wearing the uniform of the Human Dominion Navy. My name is Admiral Yuna, she said. I speak for the Human Dominion and our allied species. Dren leaned forward. Allied species? You mean the refugees you have corrupted with lies? Yuna did not react to the insult. I mean the 60 million citizens of the Dominion, humans and aliens, all living together in peace, all treated with dignity and respect. What do you want? Lady Vesh asked. I want to tell you a story, Yuna said. 40 years ago, this council banished humanity to the dead expanse. You told us it was for the safety of the galaxy. You said we were too dangerous to live among civilized species. You sent us to die in a graveyard of stars. She paused, letting her words sink in. We did not die. We built cities where you said nothing could grow. We found energy where you saw only decay. We created a civilization from refugees that no one else would help, and we did it together, with species that you abandoned and oppressed. Is this a threat? Dren demanded. No, Yuna said. It is an offer. The galaxy is changing. The Valori Empire is weakening. The old order is falling apart. You can try to hold on to power through fear and violence. Or you can accept a new way. What new way? The Human Dominion does not seek to conquer. We do not want revenge. We want what we have always wanted. A fair place among the stars. We offer peace and trade with any species that wants it. We offer protection to any species that is threatened. We offer friendship to any species that shows respect. She looked directly at Dren. But we will not be bullied. We will not be threatened. And we will not allow the strong to prey upon the weak. If the Council attacks us, we will defend ourselves. If the Valori try to rebuild and threaten our allies, we will stop them. This is not negotiable. Dren rose from his seat, his face twisted with rage. You cannot dictate terms to us. You are nothing. Exiled vermin. The Council will crush you. The Council already tried, Una replied calmly. 3,000 ships, remember? How did that work out? Dren had no response. Here is our offer, Una continued. The human dominion will take its rightful place as a galactic power. We will have equal status with any other major civilization. We will participate in galactic affairs as partners, not servants. In exchange, we will help build a galaxy where every species has a voice, where power is not concentrated in the hands of the few, where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. And if we refuse? Lady Vesh asked. Una smiled slightly. Then nothing changes. We will continue to build our civilization. We will continue to welcome refugees. We will continue to support those who resist oppression. The Council can pretend we do not exist, but we will still be here. Growing, waiting, ready. The Council debated for 3 days. In the end, they had no choice. The human dominion was recognized as a sovereign galactic power. Trade agreements were signed. Diplomatic relations were established. The exile order was officially revoked. At the ceremony marking these agreements, Una stood in the same spot where Admiral Tejo had stood 40 years before. She wore a small metal badge on her chest, the same one he had dropped on the floor all those years ago. She had found it in his personal effects, kept safe all those decades. We came here with open hands, she said, repeating his words. You sent us away. You thought we would die. Instead, we built an empire. Not to dominate, not to conquer, but to prove that hope is stronger than fear, that unity is stronger than division, that the outcast can become the champion. She reached up and touched the badge. Admiral Tejo never saw this day. But he believed it would come. He believed that humanity would rise from exile and return as equals. He was right. She looked around the hall at the representatives who had once condemned her people. We do not forget what happened. We cannot forget. But we can forgive. We can move forward. We can build something better together. That is what the human dominion offers. That is what we have always offered. She paused. The question is, will you accept it this time? There was silence in the hall. Then, slowly, Lady Vesh stood. She crossed the floor and extended her hand to Una. On behalf of the Centauri people, she said, I accept. Others followed. One by one, representatives rose and offered their hands. Their pledges, their respect. Dren watched from his seat, alone and defeated. His empire was crumbling. His power was fading. And the vermin he had tried to exterminate now stood at the center of a new galactic order. He said nothing. There was nothing left to say. In the dead expanse, celebrations erupted across every planet and station. Humans and aliens danced together in streets that had been carved from barren rock. Children born in the exile sang songs about the ancestors who had survived. Director Han Mi-Ra stood at the window of Central Tower on First Haven, watching the celebrations below. We did it, said Grandmother Shen beside her. Everything the founders dreamed of. It happened. Yes, Mi-Ra said. But the work is not finished. Peace is harder than war. Building is harder than destroying. Now we have to prove that the Dominion stands for what we say it stands for. We will, Shen said with confidence. That is who we are. Mi-Ra smiled. She thought of Admiral Tejo, lying peacefully in his grave beneath the first tree that had ever grown on First Haven. Sleep well, Admiral, she whispered. We will take it from here. Outside, the dying stars of the dead expanse continued their slow burn. But among them, a civilization flourished. A civilization born from exile and hardship. A civilization that proved the galaxy wrong. The human empire had risen, and it would endure.